My first time with full working brakes and working tyres, because I've been using the shittest tyres the day before, and kind of works well. This is the fastest lap I'm going to do the whole weekend, which is cool, right? 6-hour race, you've got to get into it. So this is La Source, right hand of turn 1, piling on the brakes. I've outbraked myself. Look, that's probably as close as I get to that apex all weekend. I do actually get closer, but I've never hit that apex once. And you're down here, Radalon or something, this might be called 6th gear, 170 miles an hour, rapid, Eau Rouge, infamous, and then this fast through here, 5th gear, 130, back on the throttle, over the bumps, and it's blind that Chris, so you have no idea. I couldn't really find out how you turn in, so you're taking a bit of a guess. Then up here, we're going to see 183, 85, okay, well, 186, over 186, that's faster in there as well. Drop down a second, there's some broken tarmac here, which makes you feel like the bike's crashing. So I know people have crashed on there, so people do crash there, but it's just kind of riding it, see a bit of bumps here, keep going, flat out, we're getting lucky with the traffic so far, braking hard down here, this corner's really hard, a lot of these corners are off camber, and this is a big right-hander. I didn't get it right all weekend. Look, I'm running out, whereas I should have been wider on the entry and tighter on the exit. Then here, there's some ripples on the way in, makes you feel like you're losing the front end braking. Hard gas down here, this is 50, this is quick, nearly 106 miles an hour, drop a gear. You can see the corner is dropping away from all the time, the front is pushing, and you're on the throttle, 4th gear, 117, 120 miles an hour. In the race, I'm clipping 5th gear there, 140 miles an hour. Mental, I call it. Drop down to 2 gears here. Now these corners feel really planted. I think you have a bit of camber, which you haven't had for a while. So the front of like suddenly feels really, really stable through there, and I never really got into there as strongly as I would have liked. Down here, keep it in second. This is a tricky corner again, off camber, so hard. Be patient, up to 3rd, and then when you're coming around this corner again, there's a bump in the middle. You have to be so careful. Now we're going to go full throttle, 4th gear, 5th gear, 6th gear there, 160 miles an hour, corner in 180, full throttle around this corner, 180 miles an hour in 6th gear, left hand, a bit of traffic here. We've got to navigate this on our fastest lap. Just going to hold around the outside of this guy here. We dropped 5th gear for this corner, no brakes. Got lucky with the traffic there. We're going to come back to 1st, hard on the brakes, back down to 1st. And we've got a bit of traffic here. Fortunately, he just stayed out of our way. Back on the start finish straight now. Full berries here. And we've been full throttle for a lot of time. Bit of a head shake there. That's the start finish time. We've done the quickest lap for us. This turn now, I do get into La Source. I did. That's the only time I hit the apex on that corner, but I get caught up in traffic a bit later, so we didn't improve. But we had a 231.9, which is a PB for me as well. But there was more to come if I'd have got a bit of clean track. See what I mean? I've missed my turning point there, and that's the end of my qualifying. So this is it. This is my first stint of the race. At least it's going to help out with some commentary.
Didn't know you got to the third 2 rounds.
That's what I've been doing. Dodging shot. I had an ankle injury actually.
Oh yeah.
So
old shaving injury.
That's right. The guys wanted me to go first, because I took the fastest lap, but we didn't. So you're straight out of the garage and you're straight up to 6th gear. It's the weirdest start to a race, or to a race. Just, you don't usually go straight up to 150 miles an hour. 2 corners, and then again you're up to, what we're going to do, 175 on this one?
175 miles an hour, wow.
180. The engine wasn't up to temperature because we haven't run it in the garage, so I have to be gentle out of the first corner as well. And all the nerves you have when you're just sitting there, they all obviously immediately disappear.
Such a fast track, isn't it?
It is rapid. That's why a lot of people love Spa. A lot of people will say Spa is the best racetrack in the world.
Is it actually scary?
Yeah, when you're going quick it's scary. Especially these corners now where they're off camber, although this one's a lot of pressure on the front. Just, you're worried you're going to cut the front. And it's, you know, we've all, I mean, going fast, this sort of corner is quite scary because obviously you're pushing the tyres, you can see the bike is moving around. But when you're going down the straight, it's like 150 mile an hour plus. That's just pretty exhilarating, to be fair. And when people say, oh, anyone can open the throttle in a straight line on a bike, it's not that cool. I beg to differ. I think it's quite cool. I do like really enjoy going past in a straight line. But this is coming towards the end of our first lap of the first stint, and it wasn't too bad, just hot, so it was tough. And sort of in your head, you're aware that you got 3 more stints to go, and your priority, you are racing. You're going to see here, even though this is our first lap, we're just out. It's a 6-hour race. You don't want to do anything silly. I'm still going to get past these next 2 riders, and this one obviously I'm close to him, so you'd hope I get past him. The other guy, he's quite far down the line, and usually in an endurance here you'd probably let this guy through, but no, I'm just going to jam it underneath him, lift him up, get around that corner, and crack on to the next guy, and try and keep it going, see how the other guys are going, and get through to the next session. Okay, so this is stint 2, and what I want to show you from this guy's just come past me. These guys win the race. I think they beat us by 5 laps, so about 1 lap an hour. And I'm coming towards the end of my stint, so I'm a little bit fatigued. I'm not quite as aggressive on the throttle, but we're going to follow him for a lap, and you're going to see the difference between a world endurance rider and little old me. One of the things I was struggling with a bit was my front tyre choice. I've got this Dunlop MS1 tyre, which is soft tyre, and what's really good about it is it works over a very wide temperature range. It's designed as a road racing tyre for like Isle of Man, I guess, and stuff like that. But whilst it's good in cool conditions, in this sort of conditions, it's just hot. It just moves around a bit. Matt struggled with it as well a bit. So if we came back, I'd like to use a different front tyre. And also, look, hang on a second, made the apex, check that out. But what you can see in this section actually is the power of the Ducati, or actually how well I'm going to go through Eau Rouge here compared to the BMW rider, the World Endurance rider. I think I pulled him in through that section there, and then here where we're just up on the bike, and the power of that Ducati is not to be sniffed at. And so, you know, there's areas we can improve on. You know, better front tyre choice for me. Matt, a little bit more time on that bike, so he could have climbed eyes to it, and maybe we could work on his setup of his bike, and maybe a bit better setup on my bike. I really didn't change it much, just played around the damping and a bit of front preload. And then Tom, who's really our fastest rider, was on the slowest bike. He's on the B2. So this corner here, I'm really missing out. I've gone in tight, and then I'm kind of out here, and yeah, I just didn't get that right. And when I watch this back and I see other riders, I'm like, if I'd run that line, I'd have been better. And also, you're in the race here, so I'm probably about 2 seconds off my qualifying time, and you know, I don't want to push it too much. You've seen some other clips. I might overtake people off the track or squeeze through gaps, and that is you're taking a bit of a chance. You're still racing, so having fun, but you're at 90% rather than like 95% or 100%. And so this is where the guy passed us, and we can just see that's what he's gained on me in 1 lap. It's the World Endurance rider versus me. And so if we'd have had, see through this corner here as well, there's a bump just there, and I don't know exactly where it is, so I'm being very tentative, take it very easy, and that's where I've made the biggest loss to that rider there. And also, this guy I saw in qualifying, I got in front of him in qualifying, and sometimes a rider comes twice, they're a similar pace. I'm not going to give this up, even though it makes a difference. I think these guys are a lap or 2 ahead of us. I'm going to chuck it underneath him here again, and just when you don't want it, false neutral, and so that's let him through, which probably quite handy for him because he's probably going to put away from me. And I think any second now will actually have my fuel light come on, and I am just going to come in because I'm going to run out of fuel otherwise. So this now I'm on my last lap, not too far off the apex that time. I'm going to try my best to hold on to him, but really there's the fuel light. I just want to finish my stint. you want to push on, but you don't want to fall off. So I want to finish the stint, bring it in for Matt, who's going to go out after me, and keep the race going. That's the most important thing in endurance. And again, another BMW, and I'm pulling him in on this straight uphill. That Ducati has got great engine power. And now I've got a nice height, because at the end of the stint as well, you might sort of fatigue a bit. So if you get somebody like this just in front of you, you can just hold on to them. It gives you a bit of extra motivation to get to the end of your stint. And again, if you can see his line, look, I've gone tight, he's got a nice wide line. Now I'm going wide, and he's already starting to drive out of the corner. So, watching this footage is really handy. And anybody who rides on track, I just did these cameras for a bit of fun, but actually I've benefited a lot from them, because I can see my line, see where I'm going wrong. It's an amazing training tool having the camera. And this corner here is just crazy, 120 miles an hour, fourth gear, on the throttle now, and I'm going to click up to fifth, bit of movement from the rear, 140 miles an hour. Yeah, that is actually a really cool corner. And you just see the engine temperature is high now. We're at such high revs for so long, and the ambient air temperature is so high. The bike is getting very hot, so we are glad we're coming towards the end of our stint. But just up ahead of us, we've still got the fluorescent BMW, but there's a couple other riders around there now. I think one of them might be Michael Neves. He's obviously a very competent rider. We're about the same pace really. But when you're racing endurance, when you get into the race, you look around you, here he is, and you see who's next to you, and they become who you're racing. So we were actually battling for 17th with Michael and his brother Ben for a lot of the race. Here we go, I've just got past him, and I'm going to come straight into the pits. But that's the end of my second stint. About what are we halfway into the race now? I've done 2 stints. Matt's out on his third, so we're starting the second half of the race now. The main man, Dane, he's been looking after us. He's just got my warmer on. I'll do the wheel change. I'll show you. Yeah, I'll do it. The girls are up there. Oh, there they are. Probably girls doing the pit board. That pit board goes down quickly. It's not too physical, the circuit. It's hot. I don't know how hot it is. What is it, 30 degrees or something? At least 30. So we're doing well. I think we're up to 18th or something. Qualified around 15th to 18th, but we dropped back a little bit, and then we pulled forward. Twos and throws, but nothing counts for anything at this stage. It's literally just wait for the checkered flag and see where you sit. So that's a little mid-race update. This is just a little bit of footage from my third stint. This guy in front of me, they were actually in our garage. They're in the pro category. They were all on BMW S1000, the Polish team. All really nice guys. One of our team had a bit of friction with them when they arrived, and these things happen. Sometimes people are a bit tense getting ready for a race weekend. So we got through it though, and they were nice enough guys. But this guy's got quite a full-on riding style. You're like, wow, he looks like a bullet. And he was obviously fast. He's in the pro category, but we managed to get onto him, close the gap, and get around the outside of him here. I think I overtook him off the track. Obviously that's frowned upon, isn't it? But needs must when you're in endurance racing. There we go. Here's Matthew. He's just coming off his last stint. Here's the happy bunny now.
As long as I don't have to go out again.
Yeah, all right. Did 42 minutes?
43 minutes, 45, yeah, something like that.
43 minutes.
It was under a safety car.
Yeah, got a safety car, helped me with the fuel. When you put your foot out to come in, were you like fucking glad this is over?
Well, I still had 3 laps to go or something on the board, or 2 laps to go.
Yeah.
But I'm just not going to make it, so I just wanted to get round to put my foot out.
Yeah, okay.
I knew it was stuttering, I didn't want to try and make it after that.
Yeah, we're better off you going slow than sitting here.
Mate, seriously, and obviously we're now used to it.
Yeah.
If you put your foot out, the guy's got to come out.
Yeah.
We're right on the limit of these bikes on their fuel capacity.
Yeah.
So 30 minutes is about the max under full race conditions.
So Tom Tunstall, he's out at the moment, and last half an hour for him. Well, there's final hour of the race, so hopefully he'll do, if we're lucky, just over half an hour, and then I'll do the final stint. Hopefully be about 25 minutes, full power, bring it home. So this is the final stint now. These guys here, number 56, they finished one lap ahead of us. I think they were 10th overall, 11th overall. And this guy was, I managed to hold him behind me for about 3 or 4 laps. I made a mistake here, so that was, our pit board was basically right in our braking zone. And so when it goes out, obviously you need to look at it to get information, and then when you look back at the track, you were beyond your braking zone. So that's why over around the corner he's come through. The team then made a decision after seeing that not to put out the board anymore. So I kind of didn't know what was going on. And here I think I'm just going to get back past him on the brakes at the top of Radillon or whatever it's called. There we go, outbrake him there. And the poor guy, he came up to me afterwards, actually said he had a really good time, and he got past, as you'll see later on in this lap, and I just held on to him. So that was quite good fun, but again, a bit frustrating because we could have, with a bit, we just did this for fun, but a bit more prep, maybe slightly different tyres and stuff like that, we could have got a really good result. And the other thing we struggled with, which we didn't think we were going to have big struggles with, is the V4s would not do half an hour. 25 minutes was about the best we got out of it. And obviously it's a 6-hour race, and if you're losing basically 10 minutes every hour and a half, that lost time. That means we're not going to be doing an equal number of stints. We're going to have to make one more pit stop than we were hoping to. But fortunately, or unfortunately, depending on what side of the fence you're on, there was a couple of safety cars. That's when there's been an incident on track, and they bring the cars out to slow you down. Obviously, you use no petrol behind the safety car, and we got just enough time. Here we go, just pops by me there. We had just enough time behind the safety car to allow us to not need to do an extra pit stop. And this now is the run to the checkered flag. Fuel light is on. I'm hoping that we're going to the checkered flag because I've no idea. As I said, the pit board's not going out anymore because they don't want to distract me, and I don't know what to do. I don't want to do a pit stop. I guess I was going to come around here, and if there's no checkered flag, I have to put my foot out. And there's no two-way radio, right? So they couldn't say to me, right, there's one more lap left, just stick it out, because obviously you don't want to pit. If you can just slow the bike down and go around, it's quicker than stopping for a pit stop. Unfortunately, there we go, there's the checkered flag. Past this guy, fucking elated that we made it to the end. 6 hours is a long old race. It's a real team effort. All the guys, the 2 girls on the pit wall, Dangerous in the garage, and the other guys riding. Everybody does everything. And my bike was overheating at the end of this straight because you're on the full throttle so long. So as soon as I've crossed that finish line, I've top gear, low revs, good airflow. We're doing 60 miles an hour. So this should be nice to the bike. And you wave at all the marshals, because normally in the UK certainly they're all volunteers. I imagine they potentially are here. So waving to them, saying thanks to them. We're just going to coming through Eau Rouge now. Just relaxing on the bike, getting the feelings, the sensations of finishing the race. All happy. The gear position stayed for the whole race. That was mega. And there you go. Just to remind us that the gear position sensors on these bikes are fucking erratic and shit. It fails after 25 minutes of doing in the last stint when we're cruising to cool the bike. Absolutely bonkers. And then we're just going to take this lap in, take us back into the pit lane, and they have the parc fermé. There's big crowds in there, people are ecstatic. Here we go. This is pit entry. There'll be big crowds waiting in here. Everyone's happy to have made it to the end of the race. Lots of riders all like catching up. I saw you had a good race, blah blah. And the British team came second. We know those guys, so we congratulate them. Here's our mate who's on the yellow leathers. He's in our pit garage, the Polish team. And that's it now. What we're really looking forward to, because it's baking hot still, is getting off the bike and having a beer, and we didn't read any of the instructions for the race, so we don't know. I don't know what's going on now. I was going to go back to my garage, but this bloke's, no, you have to come in here, and I'm like, I don't really want to do that. I don't care, but you know, it's an international race, I guess, and a parc fermé, so there's an opportunity for teams to contest any results, or you know, check bikes illegal, all that kind of garbage. But we weren't too worried about that. Biggest surprise was that 3 Ducatis made it to the end of the race, and the only problem we had was that gear position sensor after the end of the race. So good work Ducati, good work guys, good work the Spa 6 Hour organisers. Thanks very much for a great race and a great weekend.